So I will mention, of course, if in this season of the month of Elul, when we turn to tzedakah as a way of tipping the scales in our favor in anticipation of the new year, you may wish to support congregations like Hatikva by making a gift to the World Union for Progressive Judaism. There are many congregations, Reform congregations throughout Eastern Europe and throughout the world who are in need of our support. So you may want to add that to your list of many worthy causes this season. I'd like to speak about our Haftarah, which is one of the Haftarot of consolation that links Tisha B'Av to Rosh Hashanah. Our Haftarah includes the prophetic praise. The prophet Isaiah shouts out, Kol Tzofayich nas'u kol yachdav yiranenu, ki ayin ba'ayin yar'u b'shuv Adonai Tzion. Your watchmen raise up their voices, they shout for joy. Each and every eye shall behold God's return to Zion. Now, you might assume that the prophet who spoke these words was a man who lived a charmed life. But no. Who was the prophet Isaiah? What blessings did he know during his lifetime? Scholars teach us that it all depends which chapters of the book of Isaiah you are reading, because the book of Isaiah was written in 2 or maybe even 3 parts, separated by centuries. The first Isaiah was the son of Amoz. He lived during the reign of 4 kings of southern Israel, the southern kingdom of Judah. He lived in the capital city of Jerusalem in the 8th century before the Common Era. This Isaiah's harsh critique of state policies does not seem to put him at any risk, which means that he must have been close to kings. He must have been a respected voice in power circles in the kingdom of Judea. He lived through 2 wars and the destruction of the northern king of Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel, which led to the exile of the 10 lost tribes, never to be heard from again. So he advises his kings, he warns them about the dangers, the destructions of war. He says, trust in God rather than in arms. That is how the holy city of Jerusalem will be protected from devastation. And he comforts his people by preaching about a future messianic age when all will be peace, all will be perfection. He famously said the words that one day the wolf will lie down with the lamb and the leopard with the kid. The land shall be filled with devotion for the eternal God, just as the waters cover the sea. That is first Isaiah. But our Haftarah comes from chapters 51 and 52, which Jill chanted so beautifully for us. These are the words of the second Isaiah. And we hardly know anything about him. We don't even know his name. But we love his words. His poetry inspired many centuries of poets who followed him. In fact, more Haftarot come from 2nd Isaiah than from any other prophet. So what is he so joyful about? Why does he compare his joy to the joy of a crowned bridegroom and a bedecked bride? 2nd Isaiah lived 200 years after the first Isaiah. The so-called 2nd Isaiah lived not in the land of Israel, but off to the northeast in Babylonia with the very people who had sent his own people off to captivity. They were exiled from their homes. He knew that Jerusalem's temple laid in ruin. So why does he rejoice? 2nd Isaiah knew that the nature of the world is that things change, that nothing is stagnant, that nothing is forever, that everything changes. Neither the blessings nor the hardships are forever. He says, "For as the earth brings forth its blossoms, as gardens spring into flower, so does the eternal God make a glorious victory one day. It will spring up before all the nations." He dreams of a sudden and significant change. Second, Isaiah saw that political powers were shifting. And there was reason to be hopeful that the Jewish people would one day be restored to their homeland. He watched the rising power of Cyrus the Great, of the growing empire of Persia, and he imagined that one day Babylonia would fall and would lose its grip on the Jews that it had stolen from the land of Israel. Second, Isaiah dreamed of Zion and dedicated his poetry to help his own people imagine a return to Eretz Yisrael. Now, advocates for a better world, advocates who want more equality, more equity in the world, will teach us you cannot be what you cannot see. And when they say that, they're talking about a reality right in front of you that you can see, that you can witness. But Isaiah may say the same and mean it slightly differently. You cannot be what you cannot see in your imagination. You have to be able to see your aspirations in order to work for your aspirations. You have to hold the future in your mind's eye. You have to take up the God-given ability, the God-given capacity for imagination, and dream of something greater, something better. The job of the prophet is to describe the future as no one else can imagine it, because some of us have a strong sense of imagination. Some of us see imagination in the positive for a future that will benefit all. Others have a kind of imagination that is dystopian and dangerous and terrifying. And others lack the sense of imagination altogether. So the second Isaiah says, while Jewish captives are put down by the rivers of Babylon and can see no future for their children, I will say with confidence and with faith that things do change. He writes, God will not rest until Jerusalem is restored, until God makes Jerusalem the praise of all the earth. This was no fantasy. This was pure faith. And there is a difference. They may even be opposites, fantasy and faith. Fantasy is fooling yourself that what is isn't, or what isn't is. Faith is knowing what is, seeing what is, understanding what is, and committing yourself nevertheless to take it and rise above it. Faith is imagining what could be, praying for it, devoting your very life to it. Living by this kind of faith is demanding. It is hard and holy work. And I am proud to share my life with a congregation filled with people who know how to do this hard and holy work with grace and grit and love, and I admire you for it. Some people know instinctively how to live with this kind of faith. Others can be taught. Some, like Golda and her family, have that strength of imagination to lead and to protect their community, their country, because they can hold in their mind's eye a vision of the future they seek. Others may not be able to rise to the occasion on their own, and so they depend on the words and the prayers of those who can, like 2nd Isaiah. And then with that encouragement, they might find their own way too. Isaiah says, Uri, Uri, livshi uzech Tzion livshi, bigdei tifartech Yerushalayim ir hakodesh. Awake, awaken, O Zion, and clothe yourself in splendor. You may be wearing sackcloth and ashes in mourning and grief now, but put on your robes of majesty, O Jerusalem, O holy city. Who has this sense of imagination? Those Israelis who are taking to the streets by the thousands to demonstrate their power of imagination, to see beyond this war, to imagine that there may be even a time of regional change when something sudden and significant gives way to something that might even resemble peace. Second, Isaiah is such a masterful poet. The 16th century poet Alkabetz draws from his biblical lines and weaves them into his own love song for Shabbat, L'chadodi. Hitna'ari me'afar kumi, Shvi Yerushalayim. Arise and shake off the dust. Sit on your throne, O Jerusalem. Loosen the bonds from your neck, O hostage, O captive one. You are fair Zion. Pitzchu ranenu yachdav. Raise a shout together, O ruins of Jerusalem, for God will comfort you and will redeem Jerusalem. Good people, I admit that as we are in this final month of the year, many of us are tired. We are weary, like the second Isaiah, and we need his words for a faithful imagination now. Like the anxious Jews of Babylonia, we also are not clear about whom we can trust. We need words of moral imagination now. Like the Jews of the 6th century before the Common Era, we are also waiting for change. We are also growing impatient because it isn't coming yet. And so we need to practice how to bring about small changes day by day wherever we can. Maybe I'll conclude with just an excerpt from a one-woman show written by Naomi Zelda Newman. It's called Snake Talk, Urgent Messages from the Mother. She says, enough of the oy vey path. Now we're going to fix it. We're going to make a new path. So take your shovel, take a ground hacker, take a hairpin. If all you got is a hairpin, take a hairpin and start digging. Dig in all directions, up and down, right and left, in and out, to carve out a new way. Not in a straight line, because nothing natural or interesting ever goes in a straight line. As a matter of fact, a straight line is the quickest way to the wrong place. And don't try to pretend you know exactly where you're going, because if you know where you're going, you have already been there, and you are going to end up exactly where you came from. So now you're digging, and this is where you've got to pay special attention not to get lost. If you are not lost, you are in trouble. If you are lost, then good. Sit down, blow your nose, and wait. Sometimes you've got to wait a very long time until a bird or a stranger comes along with a message for you. And do you know what you're supposed to do while you're waiting? You're supposed to do nothing. Nothing. And if you can do that, if you can do nothing until the right thing comes along, then you have mastered the hardest part of all. And I admit I'm not very good at that part. The one-woman show continues. Okay, now you're back on the road. Take it nice and easy. No rush, no push. Take one little step, take two little steps, three little steps, and watch out! You're about to fall into the puddle of empty manifestation. Here on the fourth step, you are meant to fall down. Not once, not twice, not occasionally, but every fourth step. The ground opens up, the wind blows, a branch hits you on the head, you trip on stones, you twist your ankle, your heart breaks, you've got to fold the laundry, and they have closed the left 2 lanes. All of the forces gathered against you to stop you in your tracks. And some people, when that happens, they fall down, and they lie there for the rest of their lives. But some people learn to fall down, get up. And that's one move. Fall down, get up. Okay, now you're on your way. You're on your own way, and you notice that with every step you straighten a little bit, and it hurts. All of the places you've been bending over that got stuck somewhere in your spine, don't try avoiding the fact that it hurts, because if you do, you will never straighten. And that's it. That's how you do it. You dig, you bend, you throw away, you go in circles, you get lost, you wait, you listen, you do nothing, you fall down, get up. And then, with God's blessing, inside, you begin to unfold. This is the work of the month of Elul in anticipation of the new year. Imagination to walk this kind of hard road with many stones and many twists and turns and many requirements to stop, sometimes to fall and get up. It's all there waiting for us during these days of Elul. With God's blessing, with the work of teshuvah and tefillah and tzedakah, something inside will yet unfold, and something outside, please God, will also shift. Amen.